Sahanayavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavijam Karavavoy Tejasvina Bodhitamastuma Viddhishabhoy Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tatsat. May the Divine Self protect the preceptor and the student of truth. May the Lord nourish our souls with the nectar of eternal truth. May the Supreme Being grant us spiritual strength. May our studies be fruitful in realizing the Eternal One. May love and harmony dwell amongst us. May peace reside there in all and flow over the whole universe. And may there always exist in all peace and real peace alone. Om, peace, peace, peace to all living beings. Om Sinnantu Vishye Amritasya Putraha Aje Dhavani Dibbani Tastuhu Vedaham Etam Purusham Mahantam Aditya Tamasho Parastvat Tameva Viditta Nimittamiti Naino Panta Vidyate. Here, you children of immortal bliss, even you that reside in higher sphere, I have known the infinite being who is self-effulgent and beyond all darkness and delusion. Knowing Him alone can one be saved from death. There is no other way to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace to all. So I'm standing before you after a long time, and the subject, the Swami Aparananda ji has told me, it is about that the something about the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. In the present age, undoubtedly, for all seekers of truth, this literature, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, is very, very useful and important also. Important also. We heard some interesting information about the Gospel from Swami Aparananda ji, through the other people. He was telling about the importance and significance of this Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. He inquired for many monastic members of our order. What could prompt them to embrace this life of dedication, spiritual life or religious life, and then to join the order? He was telling them, a great number of the monastic members had read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and that book had helped them to rouse their divine consciousness within them. So they realized that they must do something for their life. Not to allow the mind, the life, to be carried away in the same way. So they joined us. Holy Mother Sharada Devi, as you know, was the real the person behind the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Mother learned from others that M. Manoj Gupta had noted down some of the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, the dialogue, conversation. And M was hesitant to bring it out to the knowledge of the other people. So Holy Mother called one day and said that, you bring your papers, I like to hear. And Mother read it. Then Mother sent one small letter, blessings, pure blessing to M, to bring out that teaching of Sri Ramakrishna to the public. So here's the mother's letter, in English of course. My beloved child, the words you heard from the Master are with you. You need not be afraid to publish them. It was the Master who kept these words in your keeping. Now he is bringing them out according to the needs of the time. You should know that people's spiritual consciousness will not be awakened unless this word see the light of day. His words, which are in your keeping, are true. Every one of them. When you read them to me, I felt as if he himself was speaking, Mother. And Swamiji, of course, wrote a long appreciation letter to M to bring it out, this teaching of Sri Ramakrishna in that particular form. Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna means the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, his dialogues, his words are working in the minds of people immediately, the moment they come in touch with these teachings. These words are not mere the expressions of some intelligent or religious people. A God-man is speaking. And there is no doubt about the record of those teachings. He listened to them. He heard about all these teachings by himself and noted it down. And the Master Sri Ramakrishna knew about it. He knew about it, what the M was doing in his diary after listening to those wonderful teachings of, you can say, religions or spiritual truth. Swami Vivekananda also mentioned casually that when he first met Sri Ramakrishna, what was his impression? what was his impression? He found that this man, means Sri Ramakrishna, was full of love. Means a tremendous spirit of, you can say, feeling of universal love was pushing Sri Ramakrishna to teach people, to do something for the sake of the mankind in general. Not only that, childlike simplicity and very pure soul. And every word in the form of teaching on the subject religion or spiritual truth, Sri Ramakrishna experienced. That was the impression of Swami Vivekananda, young Vivekananda, during his first visit to Sri Ramakrishna. Then later on, he learned more about this God-man, Sri Ramakrishna. So many ideas, so many thoughts, so many, you can say, problems of life could be solved in reading the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel, meditating on those teachings one by one. And the master used to teach others how to read Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. He used to tell that you think of yourself to be sitting in that room where Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on his cot and giving this sermon to all people, telling all these wonderful truths to the others. You are one of them. And you are one of the listeners there. Then it will serve various purposes of practicing religion. First of all, thinking of higher thoughts. As you know today, that if you want to think of, say, religious ideas or about something about the God or higher thought, spiritual thought, how difficult it is to concentrate the mind, to be attentive to the teaching of the scripture. Very difficult it is. Then, to bring the restlessness of the mind under control, so that at my will, the mind would behave. In fact, it is not true. Swami Aparananda used to say that you must learn how to bring your mind under your hold. But it will come this way. Then, practice of meditating on spiritual truth. So everything related to the spiritual life, till the state of enlightenment will come in your life, one can find while reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. You'll find it. Usually in our day-to-day life, two thoughts are disturbing us. One, the karma, the working conditions of our life. Other one is the meaning of dharma, religion. What religion means to us. There are so many interpretations of the word religion you can find. You can find. One easy, usual meaning of the word dharma, religion is our duties, our life in the world. Life in the world also. After that comes righteousness, the idea of righteousness and all these things. Then come moralities and to observe moral principles in our behavior, in our day-to-day life, in this way. And how to bring the higher thoughts related to, divine consciousness to bring in our life. Or it will be within us. Instead of thinking of this thought, that thought, and other things also, the mind will be trained, or mind will be brought back to think of those spiritual ideas and truths, and it will come spontaneously. For that, one need not worry about or what is called struggle much and all these things. So for general people of the world, mankind and all these things, that this is the very important, you can say, step in religious life and spiritual life. It does not mean what culture, to what denomination a person belongs. All the teachings will be found out according to the temperaments of the listeners. Only thing is that slowly and gradually, Shraddha, the feeling of adoration, the feeling of love for divine being would begin to generate within our life. It may take little time, but it will sure to come and all these things. Now, in our own organization, say we have the opportunity to see a few, say, senior monks, and then hear some of their, what is called, thoughts also about religious life or spiritual life and all these things called. One was Swami Shantananda. Many of you must have read about Swami Shantananda. I had the opportunity to see him on many occasions, especially in Belur Math. Yeah, it was there. We knew that he was the most favorite, what is called the disciple of Holy Mother Sarada Devi. We knew it. So at that time he was already what is called advanced age, above 80 years old by this time. And how he used to spend his time, you can say. Usually, the moment we take interest in religious life or spiritual life, a tendency grows within our mind. It is not to take interest in the world. But that is not true. That is not true. We have to take interest of the world also, carry out all our duties and responsibilities of the life also. The Lord will be very pleased. Only in few cases, the Divine Mother herself would make this arrangement for a few souls not to be worried about the world. So there you can say inner life or inner world was ready to get absorbed in the thought of divine consciousness remain in that state all the time. So we saw in the life of Swami Santananda. So he was sitting in the chair. He would love to listen to Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, of course in Bengali. And he would ask someone, even a newcomer, a student would be visiting him. So he'd say, okay, you sit and read this Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna to me in Bengali. So he was reading. Then, after some time, it was found that he was in, you can say, in another state, as if he was sleeping. Now, when I'm reading a book to someone, and if I find the person has fallen asleep, naturally I will stop. I will read it more. So the reader will stop. Immediately you say, why are you not reading? Now, that the apparent feeling of our mind would be that he was fallen asleep. Actually not. It is, you can say, a higher state of that experiencing the divine being, or you can say he was absorbed in the thought of the divine being, or his mind had got totally absorbed in divine consciousness. That's what we hear, but actually saw. Then naturally, some would ask him that we knew that Holy Mother was very kind to you. Now, Holy Mother has left her physical body. Then what do you feel about the grace of Holy Mother in your life at this very moment? That means, does you see the Holy Mother in your meditative state or not? That is the meaning. His answer was very interesting. When the mother would show her grace on me, I would perceive her and talk to her also. And this Swami, solved the problems of many people. He would be sitting as if he does not know anything about us. That is the true fact. Sometimes he uttered a few words, and that few words would solve a very intricate problems of the man, of the person. It was disturbing. It was disturbing him. Now we must know something about the religious or spiritual life, for example, that Swami Vivekananda in his yoga literature or in his talk on the yoga system, especially the Patanjali yoga system in the introduction, he explained in detail about the spiritual life and our relation to the spiritual world. Very way. Every spiritual seeker must face those inner problems. They cannot escape the problems. So because of that, we need to know something about our spiritual life. The state of different, you can say, what is called the divine consciousness. At present, we call it waking state. But then, we don't have any idea about the spiritual world now. But through practice, following the instructions of the teacher, in course of time, a seeker after truth will discover the existence of the spiritual world that is existing within the depth of his soul or on the depth of his mind, you can say. So these are some of the truths of spiritual life we have to know and feel in our life, experience them, and we get those teachings from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna in a different way. So first of all come the conquering of the inner man and our inner life. So the conquering of the inner man, understanding the secret of subtle works that are happening within the human mind, and knowing wonderful secrets of inner body-mind mechanism belongs entirely to the religion. That is the true meaning of religion as explained to us by Swami Vivekananda. Vivekananda in his what is called talk on Radha Yuga, Jnana Yuga, that the conquering of the inner man. We are told that we have to control our mind, or we have to develop our spiritual outlook or of life and all these things. What is this? Entering into the another level of consciousness. Because the conquering of the inner man, understanding the secrets of subtle words, how it is working, and all these things. When there is a good feelings, we do not think much about our inner life. When there is a bad feeling, it disturbs our emotion very well. We have no control upon the feelings of our what's called wrongful impulses that are going on within us. So we become what is called that it's a careless about us, you can say. We don't know what to do and all these things. Sri Ramakrishna says, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Read Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. But if the mind is disturbed, the mind does not like to read the teaching of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna or to accept any good thought, good ideas. Mind will revolt. It will throw away all these ideas. But the teachers of yoga say, the Lord has given one special power to every living human being. It is the power of intelligence, power of understanding, along with it, the willpower. Without applying the willpower in our day-to-day life, we cannot function, we know. But we do not know how to use the willpower for our real benefit in life. So, if you you make your mind determine that in this state of my, what is called the restlessness of what is called our mental condition, I will read, because it is called the willpower. So, use your willpower and begin to read a few teachings from the Gospel. Because these are the utterance of a God-man. These are not the creation of some intellectual mind. They are the utterance of the God-man. These are based upon truth. You will find after some time, you are coming down. You are getting the benefit of the teachings. You can find it is called. So then, all the mystery about the life will begin to solve within your inner life, within your mind. You can find it. That another door to enter into the kingdom of truth, you can say, you will feel it. You are entering into that also, it's called. So that is how it's called, that understanding the secrets of subtle works that are happening within the human mind and knowing wonderful secret of inner body-mind mechanism belongs entirely to the religion. Therefore, sadhana, practicing religious ideal, help people to know the different states of mind and empowers human to discover higher state of inner life known as spiritual world. This state of things would be found in all organized religions of the world, called either ecstasy or inspiration. The foundation of the organized religions of the world, usually known as prophet, messengers, incarnation, and so on, are declared to have gone into states of mind that were neither waking nor sleeping, in which they come face to face with a new series of facts relating to what is called the spiritual kingdom. They realize things there in the state of ecstasy much more intensely than we realize facts around us in our awakened state. We find the same truth declared among the Jews and Christians. In this age of skepticism and reason, why we are telling this word in this age of skepticism and reason? Because the moment we want to discuss religion or spiritual life, the other person would raise so many questions. It is not that willingly they are doing it, because the doubting minds are creating really problem for them. It must be overcome. Must be overcome. So naturally we may say, what is the proof of the evidence of the existence of divine reality? Because we find everything accomplished in the physical world. So the mind would not be prompted to give up this life and then try to understand the inner life or the spiritual life. It is not. So we need proof. We need a living example, a living power. We need it. So Sri Ramakrishna appeared before us with the experience of the divine reality in different aspects and demonstrated this experience of God consciousness to all mankind. Whether I accept it or believe it is a fact, is a truth. We know about the discovery of the science in the physical world and all these things. So many laws and all these things, they existed before their discovery. So some great souls have found the truths of physical world. So that these laws are discovered. Not only that, the power and the forces that are working in those fine state of existence became available to these people. So we find wonderful developments of, you can say, science in the present day and all these things. What about the spiritual life? Even the people is found, even the people who are believing in religious life or leading a spiritual life, they have difficulty to give up all their relation of the physical world. Difficult, it is not possible. So we have to come to some conclusion that will harmonize our spiritual life and the physical life. It's called, Sri Ramakrishna says, God consciousness, oneness of existence. And I see God everywhere. Everywhere. Even a piece of brick would appear to me consciousness. How to accept this truth? We need verification. We need what is called intellectual understanding of this great problem. How an inert matter, inert object, could be nothing but divine consciousness. It is called reality. A divine reality is called. Divine reality. At least when we hear and find that in this age of skepticism and reason, a great soul like Sri Ramakrishna appeared before us and challenged that I have seen God. Young Vivekananda put this question, simple question, that, Sir, have you seen God? He asked, young Vivekananda put this question to many religious teachers in Calcutta society in those days. But no one could give him a direct answer and convincing answer. Yes, I have seen God. That what is the proof? Sri Ramakrishna says, you can also see God. The way I perceive divine consciousness. In the same way also, you can perceive. It is not, and all the religions of the world also have the same goal. This is the speciality of the teachings of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. He mentioned about the other religion, other religious teachers many times. Many times also. And if anyone would criticize the other religion, the other religious teacher, he could not bear it. He said, no. That you do not know, by following this path, many souls have become enlightened. So, harmonizing all the, you can say, conflicting views of life, physical life as well as the inner life could be found well settled in Sri Ramakrishna's experiences. So we have to take into consideration those Sri Ramakrishna experiences. Of course, we have to study the philosophy and how to establish, or you can say the nature of the truth also. These are very important for us. That is why Vivekananda mentioned the conquering of inner man, understanding the secret of subtle world that are happening within the human mind, and knowing wonderful secrets of inner body-mind mechanism belongs entirely to religion. There are different steps, different grades of religion, all these things. But gospel is exceptional. How many people would take interest to study the dry subject like philosophy? There is no, you can say, feeling of emotion. It is all intellectualism. There are people, it is meant for them, and it brings real benefit in their life, not for other people. They may try it, but they need the feeling of actual experiences of divine consciousness. So in the gospel, every word, every sentence would reveal that truth. So all the philosophical question and the discussion, which are very important and needed also, very needed also, to rouse the feeling of, you can say, divine consciousness, intellectually and all these things, through proper reasoning power, it is necessary. But then that is not enough. We need the feeling of real bliss of spiritual experiences. So it's a very interesting. Now, what is happening in our everyday life, it doesn't mean that we don't want what is called religion or something. It is not a fact also. About that, Swami Vivekananda made one beautiful remark. I love to repeat that Swamiji's that utterances again and again. Swami says that do you think people do not like religion? I don't believe that. The preachers cannot give them what people need. The same man that may have been branded as an atheist, as a materialist, or whatnot, may meet a man who give him the truth needed by him, and he may turn out the most spiritual man in the community. We can eat only in our own way. For instance, we Hindus eat with our fingers. Our fingers are supplier than yours. You cannot use your finger the same way. Not only the food should be supplied, but it should be taken in your own particular way. Not only must you have the spiritual idea, but they must come to you according to your own method. They must speak your own language, the language of your soul, and then alone they will satisfy you. When the man comes who speaks my language and gives truth in my language, I at once understand it and receive it forever. This is a great truth. So in the gospel you'll find the people of different temperament can find something suitable for them. And if they have patience, let them follow the teaching. Meditate on that meaning of the teachings also. It will be very helpful also for them. So that Sri Ramakrishna appeared before us with the experience of divine reality in its different aspect, and demonstrated this experience of God consciousness to all mankind. He was a wonderful person. Sri Ramakrishna possessed wonderful powers of communicating knowledge of spiritual truth to other souls that we find in the life of the great souls such as Christ, Muhammad, Buddha, and others. All the existing religions of the world claim for the human mind the peculiar power of transcending the limit of the senses and limit of reason, and the power they put forward as a statement of fact. This you can find in the gospel. Every every word, every teaching that Sri Ramakrishna was mentioning is a wonderful truth. Very every truth. I remember seeing one of our senior-most monks of the order. His name was Swami Vishuddhananda. Vishuddhananda. As a young man, he used to go to Dakshineshwar in early days. Not many people were visiting there and all this thing, and spend time. So he met M. Then he met the relatives of Sri Ramakrishna, who are the priest of the temple also. So from them he heard many things about Sri Ramakrishna. Then M instructed that young Swami Vishuddhananda to go to Holy Mother. So he visited Holy Mother at Jagannath, and immediately Mother blessed him. Later on, he was sent to Chennai Mutt to Swami Ramakrishna, so that under his care he should learn more about religious life and all these things. At one time, Sri Brahmananda ji was visiting South India. He was in that temple. And then that young Swami Vishuddhananda ji was doing a little physical therapy to Sri Brahmananda ji. What do you call that? Helping his leg a little bit and all this thing. And a kind of physical therapy, you can say. Doing. Usually what happens, if someone would do something to me in the form of physical therapy of my leg, after some time will say the man that you are doing enough, so you should stop. But Brahmananda Swamiji was not telling it. He found his hands and all this thing became exhausted. And what is called that he felt that he was, what is called, the tired, exhausted, what is called, the tired already, sufficiently. Then a peculiar thought came to his mind. It was due to the grace of Sri Brahmananda ji. Had I been in the world with a family, I too work hard day and night. I must have found a job in the office. And how many hours I had to work. Then after returning home and all those stuff, I am to do all sorts of work. And now, I am giving a little service to a knower of Brahman. And I am telling that I am tired, I am exhausted and all these things. What is this thing? I should not have this kind of thought. I should carry out my spiritual exercises without stop. The moment you are thinking this way, Brahmanu said stop. And later it was found that, of course, he was instructed by Holy Mother also. Whenever he would find time, he would sit for making japa. And the mantra which he received from Holy Mother, he was, repeating it at different times also. I was at that time in Benares. I just joined the center there. It was time of one, what is called, I think the Durga Puja, all this thing. No, Kali Puja, whole night. I saw he was sitting there. At that time, by this time, I think he must be about say, 80 years old, sitting whole night, 6 to 8 hours, and counting the breed, job and all this, all the time, all this thing. So they are all inspired by seeing the great souls of the present age, you can say. There are many illumined souls. As you know, that the gurus, different gurus of Sri Ramakrishna, from them he was instructed to follow different kind of spiritual truths. It may be the meditation on the personal aspect of divine consciousness, or in some other way also. He met all of them also. So Tutapuri was one of them, a staunch follower of Uddhata Vedanta. Staunch follower of Uddhata Vedanta. Later on, Sri Ramakrishna used to say that a great soul like Tutapuri should do some work for the society. Then many souls would have become illumined. But some or other, the tradition is, the moment they become perfected, they would go on visiting the holy places. This way they spend their time and all this thing, this way. And then, and they're ready to give up their physical body, no problem is. But here Sri Ramakrishna says, so it's a new way of doing, you can say, spiritual exercises while living in the world. As regards the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, there are various types of teachings. It is found repetitions of the same ideas by Sri Ramakrishna again and again. So he used the word is called Kamini Kanchan. The translation was wrong. Swami Nikhilananda Swami mentioned also. I asked this question to one of the what is called the Swami living there later on. You knew that Swami Vivekananda did not like the word women and gold. He used the word lust, L-U-S-T, lust. This is appropriate because modern psychologists will accept this meaning. Why it is there. Then he told me this story. While Swami Nikhilananda was translating it into English from the Bengali and all this thing, there was one lady, very learned, devoted, and full of Holy Mother. One, I think German ladies were there, very much devoted, and she was doing all the work. Then it was she who translated it as woman. Then the Swami asked why you were keeping the translation in this form. He said that when Sri Ramakrishna gave this instruction, you were not there. We understood the meaning. But then later on we found that no, it has got other meaning. Lust and gold, other meaning. It is related to the guiding forces of life. Lust and gold. Any modern psychologist will tell us the what is called the implications of the different kind of forces that are working within the depth of the human mind. And the worst is this lust is called. Because modern people do not know how to get transformed that force for the development of their spiritual life. For their spiritual life. It is not any form of bad feeling, opening or something. It is in our nature. The Creator has given us so many things. That is called the power of knowledge, power of activity, capability, then the power of will and all these things. So many things are there. But at the same time, the Creator has given us various forms of binding forces. And one of them is this last. It is called the feeling for that power and acquisitions of wealth. Acquisition of the wealth. In the Upanishad and other scriptures, it is mentioned about the characteristic of human being. What is the characteristic of human being? Acquisition of wealth. That is why the Acharya of the Upanishad instructs the disciple that dano, give something you possess to the other people. Why? Because it is natural tendency or characteristic of the human life to acquire wealth. It is not bad or something. It is in the Gospel you will find clearly this question was asked by M to Sri Ramakrishna, that is it bad to work for money or not? A beautiful idea, The God-man is giving the answer. The world teacher is giving the answer. We must remember it. No, honest way. The honest way you must acquire. You must acquire everything. Then not only that, he said, if you acquire and earn little more money in an honest way and all these things, in future what will happen? You can serve the other people. There's many poor people are there. You can help them. There are monks. They need some money to take care of them. It's about treatment. His fallen, say, sick. He needed some money, some means to take care of his treatment and all these things. When Swami Vivekananda was visiting the holy places like Benares and other places, what did he see? Poor people would go to visit holy places like Vrindavan or Benares and all these things. They had fallen sick. Nobody was there to look after them. They would be lying uncared for on the bank of the river, Ganges and all these things. So he then introduced that you must give service to the living God, Narayana. And some young people got inspired. So in this way, many of the present social problems of our latest system, you can say, you can find solution of those problems. Because in day-to-day life, many people don't understand that the problems of individual life. And other people suppose they are living another type of life and all these things, away from this type of life. But they don't understand the suffering of the people. A God-man like Sri Ramakrishna would suffer, will feel it. Holy Mother would feel it. Vivekananda felt it. So they introduced this service. It's called the Narayana. When you give service, help other people, all this, there is something is there. It's called the unselfishness. Actually speaking, that if we become unselfish in every affairs of life, that person will attain illumination. Selfishness is a great power. It works in different ways of this thing. So the Lord says, be unselfish. It is true. In normal life, so many people are at a certain time help other people with love. With love, there is a spirit of service is there. It is called. Service is there. At that moment, that person becomes unselfish also. But it will come later on. It is called. It's called practicing, Abbhasa Yoga. Abbhasa Yoga. So in the Gospel you will find the term Abbhasa Yoga, practicing. Many times he says, Sri Ramakrishna was to say this thing. It's a vast subject. The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, there is no end of it also. People belonging to different, say, categories, intellectual or spiritual or illumined soul also, can give series of wonderful, what is called, talk on the subject, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. It is called. In India, a Pandit, a scholar, well-versed in the knowledge of the scripture, would give this talk on the Gospel in a different way also, bringing the teachings of the scriptures also in different way and all these things. So I am very happy that Tattvanamaji asked me. I am retired totally, and then though I am in touch with this line, but that to give a regular talk and all this thing, to stand before you, and it is something that I must prepare myself. Later I must not feel ashamed that I have not done my work in a proper way. So thank you very much. And now the Swami has to announce something. Here, the subject for next Sunday is Swami Vivekananda's message for a stable global order. Wonderful subject. The talk will be given by Swami Aparananda. This lecture will be the final Sunday lecture until next September, since we will be on summer recess. On Sunday evening, Swami Aparananda holds an online class at 6 p.m. on the foundational text of Indian philosophy. It's a wonderful subject. Because from my young days, I used to take interest in philosophy. The philosophy is really, wonderful subject to me, to think in terms of philosophical truth, you can say, or philosophical order. How to arrive at the conclusion, correct conclusion. The foundational text of Indian philosophy, the Zoom and YouTube links are available on our website, homepage, as well as in the monthly email bulletin. On Wednesday evening, we have Vesper with meditation at 7:30 p.m. in this auditorium. On Friday evening, Swami Aparananda holds a scripture class at the old temple at 7:30 p.m. Please use the auditorium entrance on Philbert Street. The current text for study is the Bhagavad Gita. The class is also streamed on YouTube and Facebook. Oh, on the page also. Your cooperation in wearing a mask is greatly appreciated. If you would like to make an offering, a collection plate will be available on the cart at the door as you exit. There is also a mounted offering box near the auditorium door in the foyer. You and your friend are cordially invited to attend all of our services. So I offer my thanks to all of you, especially to Swami Tattvayandaji. And of course, you know that for any monk of the Ramakrishna order, gospel is a very much wanted subject to think and to discuss also. And with one prayer, let me, it is called. Sarvadharma Stapakastam Sarvadharma Stapakah Acharyang Mahacharya Ramakrishna Te Namaha. Salutation to you, Ramakrishna, who establisher of the truths of all religion, the embodiment of truths of all religion, and the great teacher of all teachers. Thank you. And as you know, I am a little aged person. After that, I prefer to go back to Richmond. And I must tell you something about myself, because many of you do not know what I'm doing now. This time when I was visiting India, I met our Swami from Russia, Jyotirupanda. He was my colleague and friend also. So the moment he saw me, he said, "Oh, I hear that you are starting a new center." I know. I said that after my giving up my job at Berkeley Society, I decided to go back to India. I returned it. But then a few members of my group who worked with me for 15 to 25 years. So they honestly questioned me how could they see me. At the very moment, one senior member of the group offered a place for me to Richmond area. And then it is empty, you could come and then stay and all these things. So I contacted General Secretary Madras and explained to him. He said, "There's no problem, you can do, provided you must contact with our Swamis in the nearing centers." So I keep contact with the Tattva Swamiji, I am how I am. Then I contact with our Papananda Swamiji and the Portland Swamiji also. So I do it, all these things. So, and I had a long desire to study seriously Vivekananda in the light of teaching of scriptures. So that I'm doing it and all these things, and bring out a few literature also. Some our members are feeling. So I am very happy for the members that who are looking after me and allowing me to do my work in this way. So I mean that I'm very grateful to them. Grateful to them. I am, and above all, I have full freedom to do my work also. So long my health allow me to do it, I like to do little more work and all this. And later on, I'll see what the three deities are there, 3 deities. So they'll decide. Thank you once more.